Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's B, and tonight we're going to work on our very first quilt sewing for the very first time. So what I've gone ahead and done is gathered my son's old onesies and t-shirts and pants and things, and I am going to mark them with 6 by 6 inch squares. So here is one that I have done already, and I'm doing all of this by hand. I'm not using any machines or anything like that because I don't have a sewing machine. So for my very first one, we're going to do it by hand, so it might come out a little bit crooked, but that's okay because it was made with love. Everything that I make is made with love. So if it comes out looking stupid, that's okay. And here is the second 6 by 6 inch square. And I've gone ahead and used the front and the back. So the front, this was the front, had a nice little design, and this is the back, which is just a simple green piece of fabric. So that way it could split up, and I'll have some pictures and some solid pieces as well in this quilt. I have enough baby clothes that I can make 2 of them because I haven't been able to get rid of them. I know that there's a lot of people that may be in need, but they're not necessarily in my area. So we're going to make a sentimental blanket with them instead. So this one I have themed for animals. So as you can see, we have the big cute little elephant here, and then on this one we have some puppies and some doggy bones, and then on this one we're going to cut is a pair of old pants. And with babies sometimes the fabric is stained, so make sure that you use parts of the fabric that are not stained. So it just gives the quilt a cleaner look, obviously. But this one has teddy bears and a little giraffe. And a lot of these are also vintage items. Like I know this one for a fact came from the 1980s. And it's just really, really old. Some of these have even been in my family for as long as my mother could remember, because some of them belong to my siblings and I, and also my husband. So there's a lot of sentimental value that's going to be put into this blanket. Anyway, what you're going to need if you're going to be starting off, like tonight we're just going to be starting with the 6 by 6 inch squares. So what you're going to need is some material. So some onesies or some shirts that you want. And then we're going to dissect the shirt. So what you're going to need for that is just a simple pair of scissors, and we're going to cut along all the seams. So we're going to dissect the shirt by cutting along all the seams. So as you can see here, I've already started on this one, and we're going to cut from the bottom all the way up. So even here, excuse me, on the sleeve, you're going to want to cut along that seam. So cut along your seam, and then we'll be right back. So here's the finished result on that. As you can see, we have cut along both sides and both seams. And what you're going to want to do now is cut along the sleeve seam to get that off, and then cut down this seam as well and across, so you'll have 2 separate pieces of the fabric. And I'll join you in just a second once you finish it. Okay, as you can see, we've gone ahead and cut all the seams. It's okay if they look like this and have some of the seams left over, because you're not really going to be using that part, at least not for what we're doing today, and all we're doing is cutting some 6 inch squares. So you're going to want to keep the back side, or your second piece, to your onesie or fabric, because if you want, you can use that as a second design piece in your quilts, or you can put your scraps in bags and send them to colleges for their automotive department, or to your local automotive shop, so they can use them in when they're cleaning their tools and things like that when they're done. So what you also want to do, once you have cut your onesie into two pieces, since this is what this is a onesie, and you're going to want to cut off the bottom piece where the buttons are. And it's always a good idea, I thought, if you keep the bottom piece, because you can use those the buttons in the class in a different type of project. So cut along this area, along the bottom part, from end to end, so you'll just have one single piece just like this. And if you want to as well, you can go ahead and cut along the top area as well, and go ahead and cut that piece off, so you just have one single piece of fabric that has puppies and bones all over it. Alright, so here we are with just our one simple sheet of fabric for your quilt. And real quick, it's easy to get all the materials that you're going to use if you go to Walmart and get a simple kit like this. It'll come with a measuring tape for fabric. It also comes with your safety pins, some assorted needles, and some pins. And you also have thimble here for your thumb, so you don't stab the hell out of yourself. Also, you have a thread cutter, I believe this is, and some thread. And it comes with two different sizes of scissors and a thread undoer. That's what I call it. It also comes with two of these, they're basically colored pencils, but they're fabric colored pencils, so you can mark your fabric for where you need to cut once you're measuring. And last but not least, it comes with a blue one. Last but not least, it also comes with a 6-inch measuring ruler. And that's what we're going to use to measure our fabric. So I'm going to show you how I did this. And it's a lot easier if you have, the fancy fabric cutters and things like that, but all I have are things that I can use by hand. But that's okay. I'm going to show you how, all I'm doing is showing you how to make the 6 by 6 inch squares. Okay. So here is the 6 by 6 inch ruler. I'm going to turn my camera this way so we can see better. And what we're going to do is mark both ends, this end here and this end here, and we're going to rotate the ruler around so it sits like this, and the bottom point sits at the point that you just marked, and this top one will mark another part. Okay, so let me show you what I'm talking about here. I'm also doing this one-handed, so bear with. Okay, so here we're going to mark 6 inches. Okay, and then here you want to mark. And you're going to want to do that until you have 4 points around. And then you're going to use your pencil and mark your area along your line here. Okay, so like you'd have a brief line here, and then you'd skip over and have your line here. After your fabric is like that, oh gosh, what did I do with it? There was one already pre-cut, or pre-made on the second half. But anyway, once you have your lines drawn, cut out your fabric and you'll be left with a 6 by 6 inch square. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. I will mark the fabric by 6 by 6 tacks, and then I'll show you how to do the lines. Okay, so now we have our fabric marked. We have our lines done, and now we're going to cut along those lines and we will have our 6 by 6 inch square. Okay, and there is your 6 by 6 inch fabric square. Maybe a little crooked, but that's okay because it'll be evened out once we do the actual sewing itself. Alright, thank you for watching. Go ahead and click the subscribe to get those notifications on when our next video will be, and keep yourselves posted. Thank you all. Have a wonderful night.